back to Nurse Doses. So today we're going to talk about interview tips and tricks, or just tips really, for interviews. New grads, really any grad obviously, but we're going to be talking about new nurse grads. It's kind of a topic that is needed, so we're going to kind of jump right into it. Here's some tricks or just some tips on, how to conquer that interview and really, slam it. So, first, you should always be well groomed. You step in the room, first impressions are everything. So, you should always be well groomed, hair together, pick out a nice outfit. Make yourself, look nice. Sometimes they let you come in, you can always check with the recruiter ahead of time to see if scrubs are, appropriate, or if they want dress casual attire. Usually they will say, or you can ask. I personally like to dress up because it kind of shows my personality. I'm just not really a scrubs person, but anyway, that's neither here nor there. So I would say make sure that you're nicely groomed. Men, make sure you're nicely shaven if you do shave. If you don't really shave, just make sure that it's nice and tight and clean. Make sure your clothes are clean, not wrinkled. You're smelling good. Those type of things bring good energy, good positivity really upon you too. When you're looking good, you're feeling good, you do good. So that's number one. Number two, be punctual, be on time. This is something that I'm still dealing with in my life. I'm not always punctual on everything, but for sure on interviews, you got to make that first impression. You have to be on time. You cannot be late. Leave out 30 minutes early if you have to, just to get there on time. Drive, find parking, those type of things. Find where the department is. If you can, try to do a dry run. To see how long it takes you to get to the specific place from your home, and then also how to get to the actual department, what floor it's on. Run that through with the recruiter, or if you talk to the manager beforehand, what floor am I on, where am I meeting you, those type of things. Have that already in the bag so you're prepared. And then obviously, like I said, you're going to be on time. You're going to come in with a smile, have some personality, shake hands if you need to, say hello, good morning, good afternoon, whatever that is. Have appropriate etiquette. You're going to come in, you're going to be prepared, you're going to have good energy, you're going to eat before you come, especially if it's in the morning. Try to have, maybe, just a nice bite to eat, get those brain juices going, because they will be asking some intense kind of questions. So you want your brain to kind of be working. You don't want to be still waking up. And then, usually when you do set these times up, you want to make it kind of work for you. If you're not really a morning person, hey, can I do like a 10, 11, whatever? They want to see you. They want to make sure that you bring your best you. So if you're not a 7, 8 o'clock person, hey, push it to about 10 or 11 to where you're fully awake, to where you're fully motivated and you're ready. Become prepared. So punctuality is key. Personality is key. Smile. If you're kind of, someone that likes to not crack jokes, but if you're someone that laughs, it's okay. Kind of chuckle a little bit. I like to have fun. If it's light in the air, I'm going to keep it light too. I'm not going to be a stick in the mud. I'm not going to just be frowning. I want people to see my personality radiate, because that's going to help them see you in their company, within their team. How well would you work with others? If you're just kind of standoffish, it's kind of hard to read. So yeah, have a personality. Also, when you come in, make sure that you are, you may have some copies of your resume. I know everything is digital now. You probably already sent it via email, or the manager probably already has it. It's not a bad thing to have a paper copy. You never know. Sometimes interviews are a group setting. You may have the manager, you may have some of the staff there, you may have some other people that are involved. So it's nice to kind of have a copy if they want to make paper copies. Sometimes they do print out copies to already have it ready, and they're looking at it while they're talking to you, interviewing you. So it's nothing wrong with having a paper copy prepared. Also have a cover letter. Have that prepared. If you haven't already submitted that, have that prepared. Cover letters are very, very essential, and you need to make sure that you customize it to the actual role that you are applying for. So basically, you're just going to customize it. Hey, you're going to include the manager's name. You're going to address it to them, especially if you already kind of know who that person is. You're going to address it. You're going to date it. You're going to talk about the role. You're going to mention that type of role. You're going to talk about how you see yourself within that role, how you're the best candidate for that role. Whether you have experience or not, you want to talk yourself up. You want to get them excited to get to know you, get them excited to work with you. And so you're going to just make sure that that is part of your resume too. You want to make sure that that is on there. Also, you also want to make sure that you know, like especially if you're working for a larger organization like a hospital, you want to make sure that you understand and that you've read over their mission statement. A lot of hospitals and facilities have a mission statement, and that's like their mission. That's how they what they stand by, their care models. You want to make sure that you kind of are familiar with those. If you want to memorize it, that's fine. Sometimes they ask you those in the interview. They'll ask you, hey, what part of our mission stood out to you? What is it that you liked about our mission statement, or what do you see yourself bringing to the table, or how do you feel like you can reflect our mission statement, whatever, something like that. So always know the mission statement. You want to do a little research on the organization anyway to see if it's even a good fit. You want to make sure that you know those things. Also, be flexible. They're going to ask you questions about scheduling. They're going to ask you questions about shifts. When I first started, I worked nights. It worked out for me. It just depends on what you are going for. As a new grad, you want to be as flexible as possible, because you want them to put you somewhere where it best fits them, but also you want it to fit you too. So always be flexible. You can say, hey, I'm open to such X, Y, and Z, but I prefer blah, 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 blah. There's nothing wrong with telling your preference, especially if you're kind of older in the game and you got kids and you got other things going on, other priorities. You want to still make sure that they know that they are a priority, but you also want to make sure that things are open, or that you've been open and that you are communicating things ahead of time. You don't want to say, hey, but by the way, I have this thing I do on Fridays and I can't. No, you need to make sure that it's kind of clear as far as what your do's, what your can'ts and cans, or what your flexibilities are. Also, if you're looking into a specialty, it's okay. It's okay to apply for a specialty. Back in my day, we were told that we had to work med-surg. We were told, it was embedded in us, that we had to start on the floor. And today, guys, you don't have to do that anymore. So a lot of organizations are starting to turn the page and are allowing new grads to start off in specialty roles. I have seen new grads start out in the ICU. I have seen new grads start out in the ER, that was a no-no when I started school. I have seen new grads start out in the NICU. A lot of new grads love the newborns and love the babies. I can't do it, but anyway, that's neither here nor there. So yeah, a lot of organizations that I have seen, that I have run across, and I have been a part of, are allowing new grads to start out fresh out of school. So don't be afraid to apply for these type of roles. If that is your passion, that is something that you are interested in, you make that known. It's okay to say, hey, no, I'm willing to build my experience. This is something that I'm compassionate about. This is something that I'm interested in, and I feel like I will bring quality. I will bring such and such XYZ to this role wherever I land. Those type of things. Speak yourselves up. Speak up your strengths. We have to give ourselves credit for the multiple hours that we did contribute in school when we were doing clinicals and stuff. That's that's sweat equity. Hello, that is, you know, time spent. You know, you do have patient care background. Don't let them tell you don't have patient care background. Those last 2 years, those last few semesters that you were on your own and you were taking the bull by its horn, you were the nurse. You were, you know, taking on 2 or 3 patients on your own. So you do have some experience. And then especially if you have a healthcare background, say for instance you were a tech. I didn't start as a tech, so the odds were kind of hitting against me. But if you started out like as a tech, a CNA, LPN, like if you have some type of healthcare background, that's definitely a plus, because that shows that you do have some type of background working with patients. You want to show how well you work with patients. You want to show how well you are a team player. Always emphasize that. Whenever they ask you about your strengths, you always talk about being a team player, because that's the name of the game. Teamwork makes the dream work. Okay, remember that. So you want to talk about your strengths. They will ask you probably about your weaknesses. That's the one thing I hate talking about, is my weaknesses. Who wants to talk about how weak they are? Who wants to talk about the negatives, right? We want to talk about something positive, but it's okay to speak on weaknesses, just to kind of give them an idea, like, hey, this is something that I'm working on, I'm working towards. Not, oh, you know, you don't really want to say I'm struggling, but you want to say, hey, I'm working towards this. And I see myself, you know, accomplishing this. I see myself, you know, getting over this hurdle, blah, 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 you know. Use good listening skills. You know, they're going to talk to you about the role. They're going to talk to you about expectations. If they don't, make sure you ask. Have questions prepared. That's my next thing. Have questions prepared. Know what you want to ask. Sometimes, you know, you might get a little diverted. Once they kind of start opening up and telling you about the role, some of your questions will probably be answered, but still kind of have something towards the end. Usually they leave that towards the end. Hey, do you have any questions? And you're like, oh yeah, by the way, you mentioned blah, 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 blah. How about this? You know, those things. Always ask some type of question, because it kind of shows, hey, I'm interested. I want to know more. Tell me more. I know you told me everything, but tell me a little more, you know. So do that. Make sure, like I say, using good listening skills. If you have to write notes, write notes. There's nothing wrong with it. Pen and paper, baby. Okay? Old fashioned pen and paper. You don't want to be on your phone. Okay? Let's go back to that etiquette portion. I don't think I mentioned that. Etiquette. Punctuality is etiquette. Shaking hands, etiquette. Being on, you know, like I said, being on time. Speaking, saying hello, good morning, etiquette. You know, being properly dressed, etiquette. That all goes into that. And then, I know we're all tied to our phones, guys, but we cannot be on our phones. We cannot. I don't care if there is a pause. I don't care if they went to the bathroom. I don't care if they went to get the manager or the office manager or whatever. I don't care. You know, you're gonna sit there like this. Hey, yeah. No, you're not gonna sit and be on your phone waiting. You want to be attentive at all given moments. They're watching you, and you know, if you happen to be in there by yourself, maybe you got kids, you just might want to just check and make sure, but do not be on your phone. Turn it, if you can't turn it all the way off, turn it on silent. Okay, so like I said, you know, have good listening skills, have that etiquette. What else? Make sure that you are asking good questions. You know, there will be some questions that they're going to ask that's kind of going to trip you up. They're going to say, yeah, tell me a time when, or when, you know, how do you, you know, deal with conflict and this and that. You know, you can research all that stuff you can research all that stuff ahead of time. It's going to be pretty much similar to any other type of interview. You know what I mean? If you are really good at regular interviews, you know, prior to coming into the nursing field, it's going to be very, very similar. But they're going to really be big on teamwork. They're definitely going to ask you about how well you work with others. They're definitely going to ask about conflict, because there's going to be conflict in any case. And you know, you definitely want to talk yourself up. As a new grad, it's okay. It's intimidating. You're not gonna feel like you know it all. You're not gonna know it all. But hey, I'm ready. I'm available. Hey, pick me, please. So talk yourself up. Talk about your strengths. Talk about your achievements, your accomplishments. If you are an academic person, if you have won awards, if you have, just talk about everything that you have achieved. If you were on honor in the honor society, if you are in a sorority, if you received any type of special recognition during your journey, you know what I mean, in the nursing role, or sorry, in your nursing education time, or even really, if you gotta throw in a little bit of high school stuff, you can. I mean, it just depends on how it lands. You want things to land. You want to make sure that it's cohesive. You want to make sure that it's something that they can utilize. Like, hey, I was awarded best, person to, I don't know, best team player or something like that. Talk yourself up. Make sure that they know who you are. Make sure that they know that you are interested in the role. Make sure that they know that you have some accomplishments. Talk about your education. There will be times when you have story time where you will talk about, hey, I had this patient one day, and there was something that I saw that my nurse didn't see. I was able to act upon that. I was able to, call the doctor or whatever. It was some things that I saw emergently that needed to be done. I was able to intervene. I was able to implement this. I was able to, have a what they call is a a good catch, to where catch it in a certain amount of time to where it doesn't, prevail or end up getting moved to a more serious situation where you caught it in enough time. Just think upon times where you will be able to talk about how you were able to take action. They love that. I was able to take action. I was able to, like I said, call a rapid response or whatever. Especially if you're going to like emergency specialty or something. They love you to talk about experiences that you had, especially like that's all you're really going to talk about is when you're in nursing school. But yeah, talk about those things. And then, end it with some questions. Ask them about staffing. Ask them about patient to nurse ratio. It's going to vary. As a new nurse, they shouldn't overload you at the very beginning, because you still have to do orientation and this and that. A lot of hospitals have programs now where they have mentors. This organization I just was working with recently left, but they had a mentorship program, which is really, really awesome for on the floor nurses that were starting out fresh. So not only do you have your 90-day orientation with your preceptor, you also have a time frame where you have an assigned nurse as your mentor, and that's just your go-to person where you can still ask questions. Even though you're kind of out there on your own, you're still able to have that safety net. Because just think about it, it's gonna be nerve-wracking, it's gonna be scary, but you gotta get out there. This is what you worked hard for. This is what you spent all your blood, sweat, and tears for. So you got this. You will get it. Okay, you will get that job. You go in and you sell yourself. You tell them, hey, okay, I done came through with this schooling. You're gonna give me a job. I'm ready. They're looking for someone that's, that's willing to work. And so then you follow up after the interview. You're gonna follow up with a thank you email. This is kind of old school, but hey, I've personally found it to be very, very rewarding, very, very accepted, because that shows them, hey, by the way, remember me? You saw me on Monday. I know you had some other interviews during the week, but don't forget about me. Remember we talked about that thing? Yeah. So you're gonna talk about, hey, maybe mention something that you might have talked about, or a special skill that you said that you that you possessed, and you just kind of highlight something that you was talking about in the conversation. But you're gonna remind them, hey, I'm still available. Thank you so much. That's just like a by the way email, and it's the thank you for, you know, um, meeting with me. I'm so, I'm hoping to hear from you soon. By the way, here's another example of my resume. I attached it below, blah, blah, blah. Works every time. For me, personally, it works every time. Follow up email, great. I would say I also went as far, when I tell you I was ready to start working, I personally went up to, like I said, I worked on the floor. I personally took a basket of cookies. I think it was cookies or donuts, something. I took them because nurses love food. Don't forget, they love food. Managers too. I sent them a basket of cookies, and I put a little love letter on there, and I said, "Thank you for meeting with me. Love, Antoinette," whatever I said. And yeah, it actually did work. I'm just saying, you don't want to be like a stalker or nothing, but you want to show your appreciation, and you want to kind of stand out. It is a little competitive out here. Depending on your area, depending on the role that you're trying to go for, there's going to be some competition. So you want to set yourself apart. And like I said, number one for me, that's always worked is personality. Always have some great etiquette. Always did some type of follow up. Even if I had to follow up with the recruiter, sometimes I didn't always know the manager's info or whatever have you. I reach back out to the recruiter and say, "Hey, can you forward this to them for me?" Make it your business. This is your priority. Make it your business to show. And even if you do multiple applications, hey, do it for all of them. You will get what you deserve. You will get what you worked hard for. And sometimes if you don't land your dream job, that is perfectly fine. You will get your dream role. Sometimes you have to take a stepping stone. Sometimes you do have to start somewhere to get your foot in the door. Always remember that. That is not a failure on your part. That is just a beginning means to an end. So you want to make sure that you don't be discouraged if, hey, I really wanted that NICU position, but I guess I'll go ahead with, med-surg or, ortho or something like that. Don't be discouraged about that. Continue to try, continue to build. This is the time to build. So, hope that really helped you guys. Hope that is inspiring. Let me know down in the comments. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye. If you enjoyed this content, check out my ebook, "So You Want to Be a Nurse," over at Amazon Kindle. Here's the link. Ta ta.